Hello, welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other. Today I'm going to talk about a TV series that was on the air between 1957 to 1966 called Perry Mason, starring Raymond Burr. On this show, people would be wrongly accused of various crimes, and a lot of times the evidence against them made their cases seem hopeless. Well, that's when Perry Mason came in he had Paul Drake, there was an investigator that would investigate the cases and get the evidence together, and Perry Mason would always prevail for the person on the TV show. It was written by Earl Stanley Gardner, and Perry Mason appears in 82 novels and 4 short stories, all involving a client charged with murder, usually centered on a preliminary hearing or a jury trial. He typically establishes his client's innocence by finding the real murderer. The character was inspired by Los Angeles criminal defense attorney Earl Rogers. Earl Rogers was the inspiration for Earl Stanley Gardner's fictional character Perry Mason. And Earl Stanley Gardner was an American author and lawyer, best known for the Perry Mason series of legal detective stories. Gardner also wrote numerous other novels and shorter pieces, as well as a series of nonfiction books, mostly narrations of his travels through Baja California and other regions in Mexico. While Perry Mason novels seldom delved deeply into characters' lives, the novels were rich in plot detail, which was reality-based and drawn from his own experience. Warner Brothers produced a series of Perry Mason feature films in the 1930s. There was a radio program, Perry Mason, from 1943 to 1955. 1954, CBS came up with the idea of turning Perry Mason into a TV soap opera, while Gardner opposed the idea. CBS created The Edge of Night, featuring John Larkin, who voiced Mason on the radio show as a thinly veiled imitation of the Mason character. 1957, Perry Mason became a long-running CBS TV courtroom drama series starring Raymond Burr. Burr had originally auditioned for the role of the district attorney Hamilton Berger, but asked to read for the Mason role. Burr's performance as Mason was so intense and persuasive that Gardner, watching a screen test in a projection room, pointed at the screen and stated, "That's Perry Mason." Gardner made an unaccredited appearance as a judge in the case of the final fade-out in 1966, the last episode of the series. The show was in black and white, although they did film one episode in color, and from what I was reading, the viewers did not like it. I do remember seeing an episode of What's My Line where Earl Stanley Gardner was one of the mystery guests, and the panel had to guess who it was. And they later on came up with another version of Perry Mason, actually starring a different actor at the time in the I think it was for like one season, maybe like 1973, 74, something like that. Mainly didn't bring Raymond Burr back, mainly because he was playing a police detective on a show called Ironside. Now, 1990s, they also brought Perry Mason back, and it was an hour and a half show, and that's where Raymond Burr came back as Perry Mason, and until his death, and I believe the show continued, and they had some other actors playing Perry Mason as well. But that was what I was able to find out on the story of Perry Mason, and the show is very interesting to watch. I love watching it, and it shows up all the time on reruns everywhere. And that being said, looking for ideas on shows to do. I'm running out of ideas right now, so let me know if you got any ideas on what I can research. If it's feasible, I will do it and base a show on it. That being said, like, subscribe, share as always. Thanks for watching.